Thank you. Senator Kuipers, what should the federal government's role be in higher education?
Again, higher education, I think, is a state issue. It's important for, I think, our institutions of higher ed, especially those research institutions, to have access to some research dollars so that they're able to go after certain discoveries and things like that. Michigan has been very successful through U of M, MSU, Wayne State University in securing some federal grants. But the role of the federal government in dictating what universities should do really is the purview of the state of Michigan. They're expressly called for in our state constitution. We have very little oversight of the universities in our state constitution by design. We wanted our universities to be free-flowing and incubators of thoughts and ideas. But in terms of whether or not the federal government should control them, I view our universities much like I do our K-12 institutions. They should be the responsibility of the states, not of the federal government.
Next question is for Mr. Reichert. You have a position on the various proposals to simplify our tax system with a flat tax or similar proposals.
I will admit right up front that I'm not a specialist in taxation, but I don't support a flat tax.
Thank you. Next question is for Mr. Schenzel. How should Congress react to the Arizona immigration law and the lawsuit filed by the administration against the state of Arizona?
I think Arizona is doing the right thing. The federal U.S. Constitution dictates that it's the federal government's responsibility to secure the borders. But the government is failing at that. So the state of Arizona is looking out for its own people. It's one of the things that government is supposed to do is protect the people. So I support what Arizona is doing. And thank you. And the U.S. government needs to get involved and enforce the laws.
Along the same lines, Mr. Riemersbach, did I get it right?
You got it right.
Do you have a plan to fix the immigration issues that we face?
I think the plan is to make sure that the borders are secured first and foremost. You can't have a porous border where illegal immigration happens, drug smuggling. It's not only an issue of national security interest, but also economic interest as well. And we need to protect and secure the borders first and foremost. You know, as it relates to comprehensive immigration reform, I do not support that. Comprehensive is what? Amnesty. And so, by the very definition of illegal, they are here illegally. We need to enforce the laws on the books. And frankly, there hasn't been the political will on either side of the aisle to address it, whether it be Republican or Democrat. And what I would do in Washington, D.C. is have the ability to go address the issue, first and foremost, border security, second of all, create and streamline the current immigration system so that we can have access. Because, you know, let's face it, 2nd Congressional District is a strong agricultural community, all right? We need to recognize that, and they need to have access to a temporary labor force. That's important for us to have an economic viable agricultural community here in West Michigan. So we need to recognize that, and I would support legislation that streamlines that permit process to allow them to have access to that temporary workforce.
For Mr. Cooper, what should be the role of the federal government in regulating abortion?
I would support an amendment that would make life precious, that would consider life precious in concept of natural death. I think that in the last 32 years, 38 years, we've we've killed 50 million babies in our country. I think that's a travesty. I think that if God's going to continue to bless our country, we're going to have to treat life as precious.
Okay, we're going to go through the same format for one more round. I'll start again with Mr. Larson. What should Congress do about Obamacare?
Well, let me start off with the facts of the matter is it really good for our country to have millions of Americans without insurance? No, it's not. But the problem is, how do we pay for it without bankrupting our country and sticking it to the middle class? So what we need to do is make sure that medical decisions are those between a person using medical care and their provider. We have to get that medical use close to that person as possible so they know and have an idea of what it costs. To be quite frank with you, it's about, and I apologize here at the bright lights and my train of thought, but it's about the use of it and getting people as close as possible to the health care costs, and basically without bankrupting the country.
Next question is for Mr. Heisinger. Do you feel that the federal tax code should be simplified? And in the little time you have, explain.
I could make real news tonight by saying no. However, that you're not going to hear that. It does need to be simplified. I deal with it, and we know that it is extremely complicated, extremely cumbersome, and must be changed. I am actually a flat tax guy. I believe that is a far more effective way to go. I think that a fair tax type system could potentially work as well. Only hurdle that I have not been able to get over, as we've been talking about it here in the state of Michigan, has been housing. And because I do believe that part of the way that we got into the economic problem that we have been is we had people purchasing homes that they couldn't afford. And there's something that in real estate, and I've been a realtor developer, so we dealt with a phrase called ad valorem, or ad value. And the only problem with that is if you're going to tack on, pick the number, somewhere between 6 and 19, for all these numbers, percent sales tax on houses, you can't go out and borrow that money. People have very little money to put down as a down payment as a principal, much less having to pay that. But I do believe that, much like Dick Armey and some others, having a flat tax system would be much more simplified for all of us to deal with. And guess what? My CPA doesn't like this, but then we could actually do our taxes. Doesn't that sound like a good idea?
Next question is for Senator Thankers. Should the government be involved in selecting subsidizing specific businesses or industries and selecting giving tax incentive for specific businesses?
Well, in a perfect world, no. But Michigan, at least at the state level, we have discovered that if we didn't have an aggressive incentive package to attract and retain the businesses that we have here, they would be taken from us by those states that do. The Michigan Economic Development Corporation was formed under Governor John England. Under his leadership, he created an NEDC that worked largely because it reported directly to him. And he had a person, Doug Rothwell, who was very aggressive as part of the public-private relationship. And part of Doug's job was to go out and steal companies from other states and bring them into Michigan. And he was very good at it. For 5 years running, Michigan led Site Selection Magazine as the #1 job creation and business creation state in the United States. The problem is many other states were sick of getting beat by Michigan, and so they started playing the same game. Some would argue that the government